I'm back! Hi, everybody. Happy Sunday. Are you ready for some live crafting? It was a crazy week. I thought that things were going to get easier if I took last Sunday off, and I was just tired all week long. Jeff was sick last Sunday, and so not a lot happened. Hi, Kayla. So I have 2 projects that I was able to work on this afternoon, and we might be able to work in a third depending on time, but I am going to be showcasing the, it is called the Snowflake Showcase, and it is a few different items, 2 stamp sets, some white velvet paper, some snowflake embellishments, and I'm trying to think of what the other thing is. I'm sure there's more. I might be able to just see it on my website here. Let's see. Just so that I don't forget anything. Okay. So, oh yeah, the thinlits. So there's the velvet paper, the snowflake trinkets, the snowfall thinlits, which we are using the snowfall thinlits today. We are using, the big one is not on here because we're using it, but I do not have the snowflake trinkets, but I do have both stamp sets, and this is going to be reversed. You're not going to be able to see them front ways until I turn it around. But we're going to be using this one with both of the cards that I have prepped. So maybe we'll use the other one for our third card if we have time. So this showcase is only available through the month of November. So it will go till the 30th. And hi, Jordan. So any of these items, the 2 stamp sets, the white velvet paper, the snowflake trinket, and the snowfall thinlits will only be available while supplies last in the month of November. So even if they sell out of the, I'm going to say the paper because it's really, really cool. I will show you a little bit of it just that we're going to use on our card today. This velvet paper feels so cool, and I'm going to try really hard to show. Yeah, you can see a little bit of texture there. So it is just really soft. Hi, Debbie. So if that paper sells out in the first 10 days, they will not be selling it again. So if you like that kind of thing, then I would definitely put in your order sooner rather than later if that is something that you want to add to your stamping collection and your crafting collection. It'll come in packs of, I think the white paper or the velvet paper comes in 2 sheets for $5. And so just to give you a little bit of an example, it is super awesome paper, and we're actually going to be using the Big Shot to cut one of the detailed big snowflakes for our project tonight. So you'll get to see a little bit more close up what that paper is like to cut. So I did want to make sure that I let you know about that. I will not be here next Sunday. We will be having our volunteer dinner for our volunteers at church, and the staff is hosting it, and so we will be not probably getting home until around the 8 o'clock, 8:30 maybe time frame, depending on how much cleanup we have to do. So I would rather not be late and rushing and not have anything prepared. So we're going to skip next week. I will try to post some Stampin' Up! Videos or some images of projects that I'm working on to share with you guys since I will not be here next Sunday. But then I will be here the following one, and then we're going to skip again because I'm going to be out of town for Thanksgiving with my family. So It'll be kind of every other Sunday for the month of November. Thanks, Debbie, for sharing. So I'm going to get ready and flip you guys around. I have kind of moved my table a couple of times. We were gone for a birthday celebration with our community group last night, and my cat accidentally got stuck in this room, in our guest room, and so she left me some lovely little presents that I got to clean up last night. So I had to move all the things around and get them out of the way so that I could clean that up. So I did not make sure that my camera will be facing the right area. So if we have to do a little bit of moving, now you know why. So I'm going to flip us around and then we'll get started. Okay. So I think, oh, it's going to make me rotate my phone again. There we go. Usually I have a little bit of trouble, but not quite this bad. Yeah, way to go, Tink. That is exactly right, Kayla. I think she was just mad that we were gone for so long. And we didn't check the room before we left, so it was kind of our fault. Okay. So I'm going to probably move my table a little bit. Making sure my cord is up there. And so I'm going to scoot my table, actually, instead of moving the camera. And I'm going to hope that my broken table is not in a bad spot. Okay. I think if I zoom us in, we'll be okay. If I zoom in from where that line is there. Okay, here we go. If I can get it. So I'm going to scooch this over and down. And then I think maybe a little bit. Is that better? Okay. All right. Now I'm going to pull us up on my page here and make sure I'm muted so that I don't have to listen to myself. So these are the stamp sets that are available in that showcase. And let me see. This big snowflake is the thinlet that we will be using from the thinlet, or this is how many thinlets come. It's amazing. So that is the Snowfall Thinlet dies. And my projects tonight, I made a couple. And the first one that we're going to do is actually using glimmer paper quite a bit, because when I was working on it, I really noticed how much some of these dies can be used for more than just snowflakes or flowers. So part of the cool part about these thinlets is that some of them, like our leaves or little buds for branches, and a flower could get cut out of that one. And this one is made to be a flower, I think. But when I cut it out in the white velvet paper, I totally thought, oh, that would be really, really pretty with our, I think it's the Mary Merlot. I'm going to say that this is a Mary Merlot glimmer from that pack that we used last week. But it looks like a poinsettia a little bit when it is layered on the top. And so even this could be used as a Christmas flower. So that is actually what we're going to use tonight. We're going to use a lot of glimmer just because it's so pretty. And so we're using these as the little leaves, the little antlers from the punch that we used last week as the little leaves for those poinsettias, just to give a little bit of depth to that. So we will be cutting out one of the flowers on the Big Shot, and you can see how well that cut out. But I just thought that looks like a poinsettia a little bit. So we're gonna we're going to make that one first. And then the next one is more non-traditional colors. So I'm going to set this part aside and I will pull out my Big Shot and we'll do the cutting for that first. Scooch my chair over and get my Big Shot out. I actually had a hobby night at our church on Friday night. It was the first one, so we didn't really put it in many announcements or any of our production stuff, mainly because we weren't really like putting together anything specifically. It was just if you want to bring a hobby and work on it, or if you want to just come and hang out, that kind of thing. I used to help with one very similar when we lived in Colorado, and it became a night of the month that I looked forward to so much, that time with my girls, my friends. So I'm excited to start that back up again. We're going to rotate between different things. And so, of course, the one that I'm always going to gravitate towards is my craft and hobby night. So I will be excited when that one makes its way around again. After we're done with our project, I will show you what project I made because I'm super excited about it. So this, again, I will show you what this pack comes from, or what that paper is. It comes from the Joyous Noel Glimmer paper, and it is in packs of, let's see, 24 in this pack. So there will be six sheets of each color, or 8, I mean, yeah. So it's the copper, the Merry Merlot for the red, and the Tranquil Tide for the green. So we're using the green and the red on this card today. And I already pre-cut a lot of these because of how many little pieces there were. But it's so pretty. And again, like I'm rubbing it on my hand and you can't see any glitter anywhere. So this glimmer paper is amazing and worth every penny that it costs, which I should find that out for you, just so that you have that idea. If I can find where I put my catalog. I took almost everything that I have. At least the current product that I have, I took it with me to the church for that craft and hobby night, just in case anyone else did not have anything to work on. So this one comes from the Joyous Noel Suite, and the glimmer paper is $15 for the 24 sheets, which is amazing. And so this is the sprig punch that we are using for our little leaves there. Something else that I wanted to mention is that this designer series paper was so popular that they have way oversold what they anticipated, and they are not available anymore. They can't sell them anymore. So they are working on fulfilling the back orders from how popular that was. So that one was, and there were a couple others that were on a no longer orderable status. So although it's really sad that those products are not available anymore, it just shows how amazing and how popular they were. So it means that I'm going to try really hard not to use that designer series paper to tease you anymore, but I'm glad that I used it when I did so that you could see how beautiful it was. But it just shows how amazing these products are. Another one that I was super sad about, and I haven't even opened my little box yet, but these little pieces, they were from the farmhouse, festive farmhouse elements, also sold out. And so their manufacturer will not be able to make the amount that they would need to restock. And then there's also one other that's called Santa's Workshop Enamel Elements, which I can show you in the catalog really fast. The Santa's Workshop one is one that I think that I will be using the next time we do our live, because I think this stamp set is adorable. Oh yeah, so it's these little enamel shapes that are not going to be available any longer. So super, super cute bundle or suite. And the designer series paper is really, really cute too. So I'm going to be working on projects with that set for Christmas cards. And so, okay. Well, now that we have our pieces here, I'm going to pull over. This one is a really simple one and it's mostly die cutting. The other card that I am working on tonight was a more time-consuming card, and so we'll have a lot more stamping on the next card than we do this one. This one we are only going to be using the sentiment from The Snow is Glistening. We will be using the Merry Christmas to you and Peace on Earth to all the world. So we are using our Merry Merlot ink pad, and we're going to open it just like that and just slide it forward. This one I've only used, I think our last live was the first time that I had used that color at all. So we are using, for our base today, it is Whisper White Thick cardstock, and I jammed my edge when I was moving it, so we're going to be covering, or maybe I'll make that my back. I'll use that on the inside and I'll flip it. Not a huge deal. Things get bent when they get sent anyways. So this is the thick Whisper White cardstock that I like to use for my base. And then this layer is just shy of the 4.5 length by 2.5, or 4 1/4. So this card is cut 5.5 by 8.5, correct? Yes, 5.5 by 8.5, and then it's scored at 4 1/4 on the side there. So this one is almost 4 1/4 by 2.5 that way. So we're going to be stamping our sentiment on that thick Whisper White cardstock, and I'm just going to ink up my stamp there. Yeah, so I was disappointed too, but it just, I don't know. It's hard to be disappointed in a product that is really, really popular because I know what kind of quality Stampin' Up! Has, and so I'm really thankful that they're in such high demand. So I try to switch my perspective a little bit. So I'm just pushing this side forward, and then I pull it and close it flat like that. And that is how you close those ink pads. And then I'm going to open up my Stampin' Scrub to scrub and clean my sentiment stamp. My dry side is a little bit wet still, so I have to leave that set so it can dry a little bit better. So for this one, we are actually going to be adding some of the reversible ribbon that is in the Merry Merlot and Copper. And so it's so, so pretty. So this side is the Merry Merlot side, and then that side is the Copper. It's so pretty. But we're going to use it on the Merry Merlot side today since we have so much shimmer already. So I'm going to just measure that here on that white piece of cardstock. And so then we are just going to use some Scotch tape to tape that onto our sentiment there. Just some plain Scotch tape. And we are going to do the cheater method, straight from my Robin friend. So another fun thing that's happening this week in the world of Stampin' Up! Is they are having our 30th anniversary celebration in Orlando, and I was so sad to not be able to go to Orlando this next week, to be there with all of our other fellow demonstrators and all the team. But I'm so thankful just to be a part of the bigger picture of what this company is doing. So there's a lot going on. I cannot imagine trying to fit all of it in at once. So the more that I thought about what I still need to do while I'm home, the more I was okay with having to miss something so much fun. So what I'm doing is I'm pulling out my glue dots, my mini glue dots, and this is an old box because I had bought up a whole bunch of them before they changed all of our packaging. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this layer, since we're going to be putting it on top of our glimmer paper, I'm going to be, here, I'll show you a little trick. I'm going to roll it on my glue dots, and then it'll all pop up right in a row. So that is how we're going to do our glue dots on both the top and the bottom of this card. So I'm going to fold it along. Sorry, trying to do it and see what I'm doing at the same time is kind of tricky. So I'm just going to do a couple more on the edges there. There we go. So that is what we're going to do to put this on. And it's going to be a little bit bigger than it. But what we're going to do is we're going to put it right so that it hangs off the edges just a hair. I did that on purpose because I really wanted it to break up and connect the white to the white. So what we're going to do next is we're going to pull out our snail, and I actually still have mine put away from the other night. So I'm going to open up my large stamp case, and we're going to need those, so I'll leave those out. So I'm going to get out my snail adhesive, and I'm going to do snail adhesive on all 4 sides of this glimmer paper just to make sure that it's being held down all the way. And I'm going to do a little bit in the middle as well. So this is going to go in the middle of our Whisper White thick cardstock. And now what we're going to do is we are going to take some glue dots and we're going to put them on these little sprigs. And I'm going to kind of, now I did this a little bit differently the last time that I made the card, so the sprigs were a little bit tricky. So I'm just putting them a glue dot on the back of them. And we're gonna, we can have them hanging off a little bit, but we're gonna cover them with our mock poinsettias, because that's what I'm calling them. And so we're gonna put that one on our ribbon right there. So that's kind of what that background is gonna look like. And then we are gonna do, so if you can see, I'm gonna try really hard to show you. Let's see. Can you see the velvet? You can hear it. It's super subtle, but when you're in person, you can totally tell. The feel of it is just super cool. It's going to be really fun for Christmas cards to use this velvet paper. So I want to use it as much as I can before it is sold out. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to use some dimensionals so that we can have a little bit popped up on this card. And excuse my nails, I have been putting them off and putting them off for sleep. That's really what I've been doing. Instead of staying up late and working on my fingernails before bed at night, I have been going to bed. And I have not regretted it until I go live. and then I sort of do. So today, my youngest son, my son Malachi, turned 9, so it was a very, very busy day. And I still managed to get a little bit of my nap. It was a short one, but I will take what I can get, especially after daylight savings, because that messes all kids up. And so when you are with kiddos in the morning, the whole service time, you just realize how much it puts them off. So I am just putting dimensionals on the backings of these flowers. Sometimes I forget to talk through every little bit that I'm doing with you guys. So what we're going to do to this one is I'm going to kind of put that to the side there. Do you guys think those kind of look like poinsettias when they're up close? I think they're super fun. So that was really fast. I mean, maybe 15 minutes from start to finish. But with how pretty that glimmer paper is, it looks like it took a lot longer than that to work on. So that is our first card for the night. And I really like how that came out. So this is how you'll see how my sprigs got a little bit out of control in the first card. So that is the first card that I made this afternoon. And then this one is the one we just made tonight. So we will set that aside and we will work on our second card. Thanks, Debbie. Okay, so this one I'm going to do differently in this one than what I did in the my tester, and then I'll show you the other one after this one is finished. So what we're gonna do first is this one has the most stamping, so we're gonna do that first. We're gonna set these pieces aside over here. And for this one, we are using Pool Party as both our base and our layer, and then our little embellishment that we're gonna add. So this one is cut 11 by 4 1/4, and it's scored at 5 1/2, so that this card can open the vertical. So we're gonna layer this color, just a same two-tone, or the same tone on tone, and so that'll go on the top of our snowflake too. So these are the two that we will be stamping, so we're just gonna set that one over here. And we are going to use our Pool Party ink for this card. And this, you can tell I used the old glimmer because this is an old ink pad. But this would not happen now. So that is something really cool. So for this card, our sentiment is going to be just this joy sentiment there. And then we will be using, let's see, this little stamp set here to do a whole background on this paper. So we're going to start with just putting the joy. And again, when I made my tester, I used a completely different color than I am right now. So this will be different than the card that we work on together right here live. So let me see if I can zoom in a little bit more for this part. There we go. Maybe not quite so much. I don't know if it's gonna let me zoom out now. Oh, it did. You just have to let go of it. Awesome. I just learned something new. Okay. So I'm going to pull my chair up because it is a little bit more difficult bending over and getting those. Okay, so we're going to use this stamp. I'm going to make me bigger on here so that I can make sure that you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start just by going around the outside, and maybe we'll just do it from top to bottom. and we are just creating a snowy background for this card. And if they overlap, if they get close to each other, if I leave gaps, it's not a big deal at all. So that's something that I really enjoy about background stamping. Hi, Nate. If you've been here the whole time and I just now noticed that you joined, I'm sorry. So that's something that I've always loved about background stamping, is that you can kind of do them different every time, first of all, but there isn't a special way that you have to do it in order for you to get a big impact on it. So, but this stamp is so fun. I like the really detailed snowflakes that are on there. Okay. I'm not sure if you can see them until I lift it up, but it'll be fun. So, let me see. Just making sure I'm not missing any comments over there. So I used, the first time that I made it, I used this, this stamp here, because there's an example that they share, and I think it's even in the picture that I posted on my Facebook page. It's this stamp right here. I don't know if you can see it, that one. And so it's a little bit more busy, and it kind of looks like they're using that in their example card where they use the big snowflake. And so I used that one first to just see if that looked similar to what they did. And I can't really tell if that is what they used or not. And so I just decided that you can't really see it enough to tell whether or not that is the stamp set that they used for their background. And their background didn't have all these extra snowflakes in it. And so I just kept adding and adding and adding to the background that I had made. And so it had the busy background, and then it had the little background. So you'll see when I'm done that I can show you both. So that is all the stamping. So it was literally just this tiny little set right here. And this is the snowy background that we made for this. The star of our card is really going to be that big velvet snowflake. So it's not like we're trying to make a really super standout background when we're doing this anyway. But I think it came out really cute. So we are going to wash those and set those aside. And then we are done with our ink. So I can set that aside. And now I will go get my Big Shot out. We can do our die cutting. I also have some embellishments that we're going to use on this card that are going to be really fun too. Hopefully my Big Shot will not be too crazy in this screen. Oh no, that's pretty good. All right, so we're going to move our Big Shot so that I can put our white velvet paper. Again, it's so cool. If you can see that texture there. So we're just putting our snowflake right on this, and actually I might turn this one into a card afterwards, so maybe I'll try to get it centered just right. That would be a cool card. I might have to like mess with it. We'll see. So we're just going to run it through this way first, and then we're going to roll it the other way just one time, and then we will be done with the Big Shot. Now I did cut these two pieces with vellum and then with the pool party. I used our layering circles framelits for those die cuts, the layering circles framelits dies, and so there's the number there. But I did that ahead of time since we had a little bit more stamping on that card. Okay, so now this is going to punch out of that. That's even really pretty. I might use that on something. We'll see. So I'll set that piece aside, and then I'll move my Big Shot platform. And I am going to be using our die brush, and this little sponge comes with a die brush. And I just am going to take it. This brush is really handy for really intricate dies. Sometimes it doesn't get all of them, but as you can see, it's getting the majority. But I will tell you that the bristles like to get stuck sometimes in the dies, depending on how many little pieces there are. And so it can be a little bit stubborn, but it is still an amazing tool to have. So we are going to just take that out, and it just missed a couple, so not bad at all. So we're just going to pick out those pieces, and that velvet snowflake looks so pretty. Oh, a little bit of a fuzz in there. Oh, there's another piece. Okay, so we're going to actually be layering that on top of that vellum scalloped circle, just to kind of create a little bit of a cloudy edge there. And then that joy is going to go on the center of that. So I'm going to set aside our die and dump out all my little pieces. But can you imagine picking out each of those pieces from that die? That brush just is amazing. Takes out all that work. And it didn't all go on my floor, I promise. I have a trash can right next to me. So what we're going to do before we layer these is we are going to use some silver metallic thread on this card. I use this silver metallic thread all the time, and it lasts me a pretty good amount. Like, I think I've gone through maybe 4 of them in the last 3 years. So what I'm doing is I'm just wrapping it. I'm pinching it with my finger here, my thumb, my pointer finger, and I'm wrapping it like 6 times. And then I get out my little paper snips, and I have it pinched right here. And so I kind of gather it in the center sometimes, so that we can get gathers on both sides, but it's all going to change when we put it down anyways. So what we're going to do is, kind of messed me up. We'll start over. Once it's cut, you can always rewrap. So I'll pinch that and hold it out, gather to the edge there. And of course, when I do it this way, it wants to say I can't go all the way around again. It's fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit of snail down on our vellum. There we go. It's acting super weird. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of pinch our thread to have really messy, but it's going to show all over the place, so it'll be fine. Okay, so it's just going to look really, really messy on there, but we're going to cover it up with a snowflake, and so that it's not going to matter, I promise. So we're just going to use snail on our snowflake. On the back, you just see where I put that little bits of snail, and we're going to cover up where that happened. And actually, I think I did it different on the other card. Now that I'm looking at it, I did not even do it this way. It's fine, it's fine, it's fine. What I did before is I did it on the back, so you can't see it through on that. And you know what? I'm going to change it. You guys get to see me make mistakes. It is okay, right? The mistakes happen. So we're putting our snowflake directly to our scallop circle. That is what it's supposed to look like. Hi, Shelly. So we are doing our snowflake right on there, right there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit of this sequins, silver sequin trim, I think. Yeah. Mini sequin trim in silver. And we are going to just make it long enough to go across our snowflake here. And I can hear my puppy outside of the door. So we're going to probably not get to do a third card, but it will be okay, I promise. I'm going to show you a couple of things that I worked on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use another glue dot on the back of my trim here. And I'm going to put it right in the center of my snowflake. And then we are going to layer, where did our joint go? Here it is. We are going to layer this with some dimensionals. We're going to do a dimensional at the top and the bottom. And we're also going to put glue dots on top of these dimensionals after I have taken the backing off, just in case they need a little extra encouragement to stick down on the vellum, or on the, oh, what is it called? Velvet, on that velvet. So that is what the snowflake is going to look like when we layer it, and we are going to put this beautiful linen thread that is all sort of tangled up on the back, because that's how I had it to start with. And so you get to watch me make my mistakes and see how I fix them or don't fix them depending on the day. And what we're going to do now is we're going to put a little bit more snail on the back here. And we are going to kind of pinch it on the middle there. So we'll have a little bit sticking out on both sides. And see, that looks much prettier. That's the way it was supposed to look. So now what we're going to do is we're going to use some more dimensionals on the back of our vellum here. And the dimensionals are only going to go where the snowflake middle is, because otherwise you might be able to see those dimensionals through the little holes of our snowflake. But that is how it's going to be on this layer here. So before we put that down, we're going to use our snail adhesive just on both sides here. And we are going to put that down, leaving a little bit of a border, probably not quite 1/4 of an inch all the way around, just like that. You can see the little border, just a tone on tone there. And our joy is going to go right in the center there. So that is our finished card. And I will show you the one that I did first is Flirty Flamingo, that color of pink. So these are a little bit non-traditional colors, but still really fun, fun colors for Christmas. And then with that velvet snowflake, they look so fun. So this is kind of my take on the example that's in the picture of the promotion. So thanks, Shelly. So I really like how that one came out. So that is our second card. Since we're only doing 2 tonight, since my timing got away from me, this was our first card that we made tonight. So if you came in a little bit late tonight, I think Shelly was a little late, you can totally watch the replay when we're finished here. But before I say goodbye, I want to show you, thanks Debbie, I'll show you the project that I worked on at my ladies' night out at the church on Friday. So I have had this picture in my mind pretty much since the stamp set came out. But I have some friends that have some of their children are autistic. And so I have been wanting to make this home decor piece. So this is a little sneak peek. And something really big with autism is puzzle pieces. And so I wanted to create something for a home decor piece in their house that they could display. So this is really going to go in, hi Johnny, this is going to go in a 12 by 12 frame, and it has all those little white pieces of puzzles that are like falling down. And then at the bottom, I did a puzzle piece for each member of their family, the dad, the mom, sister, and then the two boys. And this is a piece for their house. It'll go in a frame, but I'm going to be making a couple of them because I have more than one friend that are in the same situation of life. So I really love how it came out, and I really am thinking about putting their names on each one of their puzzle pieces, just to represent that they belong together, that they're not whole without the other person. And so I just could not get this idea out of my head. The more that I put it off, the stronger it got. So this one specifically is going to be going to Colorado, to some of my besties in Colorado. But I used the little framelits, the one that has the square that has a lot of pieces in the middle. That's what I used for the little pieces in the background. And then this one is actually the bigger one because I wanted it to stand out a little bit more. And actually I've used this one in a layout that I made for my family, that I can show you here too, for our grandkids picture that I made this summer. So I'll pull that one out really fast to show you as well. I really like how it came out. But I made this one for this is my mom and my dad, and then that's all of their grandkids currently. There aren't any that we know of that are still there too, but I put all the kids' names. So that's my daughter and my son, and that's my nephew, and then this is my youngest whose birthday's today. So I did all of the years that they were born on their puzzle piece. And so when more kids are added to the picture, I could just redo it. But, oh yeah, I totally agree, Shelly. My friends they have two of their sons that have autism, and when those boys were brought into my life, it was like a shift happened on my heart, because it became something that I wanted to be there for.